a good year. Today's daf is daf Lamed Hey, and there are two things from daf Lamed Dal that we need to know. Let's just review them. Number one, we have to know that the p'tur of Noshim in Mitzasei Shaloaz, the chi of Noshim, in Mitzasei Shaloaz Man Groma, is based on the fact that in Mitzasei Shaloaz Man Groma, Noshim p'turas in two cases, and that's Talmud Torah and Piri V'Rivya. Talmud Torah because it says V'shinatum v'nefelo l'nosecha, and Piri V'Rivya because it says V'kivshua ein darka shalisha lichbosh. And we have a principle called Shnei Ksuma Boim Kechad Ein Malamdin. In addition to that, we have to keep in mind that the Gemara had a limud from Hakel that women are chayv in Hakel. Excuse me, despite the fact that it's Matan Groma once every 7 years, and the Gemara wanted to know, why don't we derive the opposite conclusion from Hakel that Noshim Chayovas Mitzvah Seishas Man Groma? And the Gemara answered that question by saying Mishum Davi Hakel Umatza Shnei Ksuma Bam Kech Vel Kol Shnei Ksuma Bam Kech Nei Malam. Okay, having said that, Frek the Gemara Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka di Omar. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka in Yevamis Daf Samach Heyamid Beis derives the chi of women in Peri V'Rivya. And therefore, Shneibu Omer Vayvarach Osam Elokim from the pasuk Osam in plural, and Vayomalem Elokim Pru Uravu. So now, women are obligated in Piri V'Rivya. So you can't tell me that Piri V'Rivya, together with Talmud Torah, is going to teach us that Noshim Chayavos B'Mitzvah Seishalo Man Groma. Because in fact, women are obligated according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka in Piri V'Rivya. So we should now go back and ask, why don't we derive from Talmud Torah that women are exempt from Mitzasei, even though it's Shaloaz Man Groma? And if you'll tell me that women are exempt from Piri V'Rivya, that makes it Shnei Ksuvim. That's not so according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. And the Gemara answers, according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, we do have Shnei Ksuvim Aboim Kechnei Malamtim, but not from Talmud Torah and Piri V'Rivya. But Rat Mishum Dahavi Talmud Torah v'Pidyon Ben Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechem v'Chol Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechem Melamdim. Now, in the case of Pidyon Ben, from day 30 and on, it's a mitzvah say she'ein azman groma, and the mitzvah Pidyon Ben could be fulfilled even at night. And the Gemara back on Daf Chav Tes derives from the pasuk Kol Bechor Bonecha Tifteh Bonecha V'Lo B'Nosecha. So both in the case of Talmud Torah and Pidyon Ben, which are mitzvah seisha einazman groma, noshim p'turos, and applying the principle of Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechrei Malamdin teaches me that in other mitzvahs that are similar to Talmud Torah Pidyon Ben and are einazman groma, women are obligated. So the Gemara asks another question now. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, Nami Nehevi Piri V'Rivya Umora Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechrei Malamdin. The Gemara back on Daf Lamed Daled Amid Beis derived from the pasuk Ish Imot V'Aviv Tiro in the plural that women are obligated in the mitzvah of Mora, and that's a case of a mitzvah seishal lo azman groma. There's never a moment that you put from Mora Aviv. And now if we add Piri V'Rivya, where women are obligated in a mitzvah seishal azman groma according to Rabbi Yochanan, together with Mora, we now have Shnei Ksuvim. And that should teach us that women are obligated in all mitzvah seishal lo azman groma. And we said that women back on Daf Lamed that are not chayav in mitzvah seishal zman groma are not. Excuse me, that women are chayav in mitzvah seishal lo azman groma, and we derive that from Mora, but we can't now. Now we don't have the luxury of deriving it from Mora because Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka has Piri V'Rivya in the same boat, in the same category as Mora. So we have now Piri V'Rivya and Mora both teaching us that women are obligated in a mitzvah seisha azman grama. And therefore we should assume that Just 1 second. Sorry, I lost it. There's so many ins and outs over here, and you have to know Lamed Dalet by heart. Just 1 second. So we used Mora to teach us that women are obligated in all mitzvahs shelo zman groma, and Mora became a binyan av, a bamematzinu. But now we have the same limud from period of Arivia, according to Rabbi Yochanan Broka, and that would teach me that women are exempt from mitzvah shelo zman groma, right? Because again, you have to keep in mind that. I'm sorry, I'm saying Dvarim Pshutim, Rabbi, you'll be mindful of me, but whenever we apply the principle of Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechrei Malamdin, it means that we derive the opposite conclusion. So if these two mitzvahs, the Torah went out of its way to tell me that women are obligated in mitzvah shelo zman groma, period Virivia Mora, according to Rabbi Yochanan Roka, that it means that in all other mitzvahs shelo zman groma, women are exempt. So the answer is trifi. We only apply Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechrei Malamdin when the Torah went out of its way to double up something that's superfluous. We could have learned it from one. But here we need both. Why? The ikas Rachmana Mora, Falo Kasa, period Virivia Havamina Mikivshua Marachmana, Ish Darko Lichbosh in. But Isha Shein Darko Lichbosh Lo, we would come to the conclusion that although women are obligated in period of Arivia, although women are obligated in Mora, but they're not obligated in period of Arivia because of the Hekesh Tevik Shua, which is actually the Shittas Chachamim against Rabbi Yochanan Broka, that women are exempt from period of Arivia. The ikos. Now we do it the other way around. If we only had period of Arivia, v'lo kosav Mora, havmin ish desipik b'yod lasos in. Isha dein sipik b'yod lasos lo. A woman who's married and she's obligated to take care of her husband, she doesn't have the availability to tend to the needs of her father. And therefore, keva dein sipik b'yod lasos so tischayev klal. Therefore, even a woman who's a pnuya and she's not married should be potur like a woman who's married. And therefore, I need the Torah to go out of its way to tell me that the mitzvah of Mora Av applies even to Noshim. And therefore, Tricha, so we don't apply the principle of Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechrei Malamdin. On the contrary, in this case, Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechrei Malamdin, because of the Trichusa, and that would mean that from Mora and period of Arivia, we derive the conclusion that women are obligated in mitzvah seishen zman groma. Now the Gemara goes back to Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, and we explained back on Daf Lamed Daled that according to the Shita of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, we don't derive from Talmud Torah that women are exempt from mitzvah seishen zman groma because they're also exempt from pidyon ben. And therefore, Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechrei Malamdin. So the Gemara says, "Hanicha." That makes sense. L'man diyomer Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechrei Malamdin. L'man diyomer Malamdin Ma'ikal Meimar. But we have a shita that maintains that Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechrei Malamdin. We'll see that attributed later to Rabbi Meir and Ma'ikal Meimar. So we should derive from Talmud Torah and pidyon ben that women are exempt from mitzvah say shelo zman groma. Now I made a mistake. I said accidentally that Rabbi Meir is the one who holds that we reject Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechrei. No, that's going to be Rabbi Yehuda, I believe. Okay, fine. We'll get to that later on. And now the Gemara answers the following. Amar Rava Papunoi, which we'll see in a second, is Rava Achabar Yaakov, who comes from Papuna. Yadi Leila Taimada Milsa. They know how to interpret all the Mishnayos according to the Mandiyam who holds Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechane Malamdin. And they're going to offer a pirush that's going to answer our question. And we're going to establish a reason why Noshim are Chayavos Mitzvah Seisha Einas Man Grom, even though they're Pturos from Talmud Torah and Pidyon Abed. There's another additional question that's going to be answered here, and why are we poter women from Mitzvah Say Shazman Grom, even though Matzah and Hakel, which are both Mitzvah Say Shazman Grom, and yet women are obligated? Okay, Umanu, who is this this Chacham from Papuna, the Ravach Bayak? That's the Gemara about Basra Daf Tezai. Oh my Kra, the Torah says in Parshas Bo, in the mitzvah of Tefillin Vayil Cholios Al Yodecha Leuziki Rabbein Anecha Laman Tia Torah Hashem Beficha. So we have a hegesh between Torah and Tefillin. Huksha Kol Torah Kula Lit Tefillin. Ma Tefillin Mitzvah Seishman Grom and Oshim Turos. The Gemara derives this back on Daf Lamed Dal that women are exempt from Tefillin, and it's a Mitzvah Seishman Groma, because we're holding now that Laila loves man Tefillin is Avkol Mitzvah Seishman Grom and Oshim Turos. So that means that Kol HaTorah Kula is equated to Tefillin, and that's going to teach me that Mitzvah Seishman Groma, like Tefillin, women are exempt. Umida Mitzvahs Aseish Asman Groma Noshim Pturos. Why did the Torah have to exempt women from Mitzvah Seishman Groma? Michlal, it must mean that Mitzvah Seish's law Asman Groma Noshim Chayavos. That in general, if there's no Zman Groma element, then women are obligated. And if you're going to say the women are Pturos from Shaloh Asman Groma, I'm sorry, if women are pturos from mitzvah seishas man grama, why did you have to go? And if you wait to teach me that women are exempt from mitzvah seishas man grama, hanicha makes sense. Lamandi omet tefillin hey mitzvah seishas man grama, elamandi omet tefillin hey mitzvah seishas laws man grama, and that means that even on Shabbos and on Yom Tov and at night we are obligated to the mitzvah tefillin. Michael and Meimar. How are we going to answer according to the Shita? Why don't we derive from a hekesh to tefillin the exact opposite? That just like women are exempt from mitzvah say laws mango, which is tefillin according to this Mandi Omar, so they're also exempt from all mitzvah say shalaz man groma. I just can't understand what obligations then would be incumbent upon women. Just matzah and hakel. I don't know. That I couldn't find an answer to in any event. So now the Gemara answers that this Mandi Omar doesn't have the hekesh of the Bnei Papunoi. He holds that women are patur, or pturos, from Esei Shazman Groma, and we derive that from Re'iyah. Again, this is the Gemara back on Daf Lamed Daled. And we asked the Kasha back on Daf Lamed Daled, why don't we derive from Matzah and Hakel to be mechayev them in a mitzvah seishas man groma? Man shamalei domer tefillin a mitzvah seishas laws man groma. Rabbi Meir is the one who holds that women are obligated tefillin in Masechet Eruvin Daf Tzadi Vav Beis, because tefillin is no heges bein b'layla u bein b'Shabbos Yom Tovim v'savar love. But he also holds shnei ksuma bam kechad chol shnei ksuma bam kechad a melamdin, and therefore you can't ask the kasha, why don't we derive from matzah and hakel to be mechayev women in mitzvah seishas man grama? It's shnei ksuma bam kechad a melamdin, to teach me that as a general rule, women are exempt from mitzvah seishas man grama. Frekting more, but Rabbi Yehuda Dioma, Rabbi Yehuda holds in Masechet Sanhedrin Daf Samach Zayin Amid Beis Shnei Ksuma Bam Kechem Melamdim U Tefillin Mitzvah Seishas Laws Man Grama. It means that the Gemara in Eruvin establishes that Rabbi Yehuda agrees to Rabbi Meir that the mitzvah tefillin applies even at night, even on Yom Tov and Shabbos. And if it's a mitzvah seishas laws man grama, is ma'ikol and meimar. How are you going to derive the ptur of women in mitzvah seishas man grama we're going to derive from matzah and hakel that here are two cases of mitzvah seishes man groma, and yet women are obligated. And we're holding now, like Rabbi Yehuda, that shnei ksuma bon kechem melamdim, and therefore from matzah and hakel we're going to derive the opposite conclusion that women are obligated in mitzvah seishes man groma. The Gemara says there's a halacha of shlosha ksuvim abon kechem melamdim, even according to Rabbi Yehuda, mishum dahavi matzah simcha v'hakel. And in Simcha it says v'simach es ishta, and we're going to derive the conclusion that women are obligated in the mitzvah of Simchas Yontif, and that's a mitzvah seishes man groma. Plus we have now hakel, which is mitzvah seishes groma, and matzah, which is mitzvah seishes groma, and in all these three cases, women are obligated. Even according to Rabbi Yehuda. Hence, we derive the conclusion that women are exempt from mitzvah seishes man groma. Because if women were obligated mitzvah seishes man groma, there would be no need to obligate them in these three mitzvahs, which are all mitzvah seishes man groma. The answer is that these three are the exception to the rule, but the rule is that mitzvah seishes man groma, noshim pturos. The Mishnah continues, kol mitzvahs losaseh, women are obligated as men are in all lotases. Meaning, what's the source for that? Why not equate mitzvahs losaseh with mitzvah? Amar Rabbi Yehuda Marav, again, Tana the Rabbi Shmuel, Amar Kra, the pasuk says in the parsha of someone who stole something and he took a shvua sheker, and then he confessed his crime, and he has to bring a korban osham for kapara in Parshas Naso. Isha kiyasu mikol chatos adam. It says both Isha and Isha. Hishva kos v'isha leish l'chol onshim shabbat Torah. As far as all our various the Torah mikol chatos adam, women are included. Now we're going to find other derivations and other sources from which we derive the conclusion that women are obligated in lotases. Debei Rabbi Eliezer Tana Amakra in the parsha of Mishpatim in Shmos Chaval says that there's such a lifneim, and lifneim is beloshen rabim hishvakos v'isha leish l'chol tinim shabbat Torah. And furthermore, we have another derivation according to Debei Chizkiah Tana Amakra ve'im is ish o isha. If somebody's shor is nogeach and kills a man or a woman, hashor yisakem l'gam b'olav yumos hishvakos v'isha leish l'chol misa shabbat Torah. So Gemara asks now, why do I need three different limudim to conclude the same exact conclusion that women are obligated? Lota says, if we only had the Torah teaching me this first drasha, as far as a gazlan who stole and then he took a shvua sheker and then he admitted his crime and he has to bring a korban shvua, and in that parsha the Torah says ish o isha, I would have said mishum kapara, that in order that a woman should have kapara for her sin that she took the shvua sheker, etc., etc. Chas rachman, the Torah had rachmanis on the isha for kapara aval dinim, which is the second drasha, that of the Debei Rabbi Eliezer. I might think ish debar masu matan. In Parshas Mashpatim, we're talking about men and only men, because they're out there in the market doing masu matan, they're doing exchanges and so forth and so on, sales and so forth. He's in, but women, aval isha lo, maybe these dinim do not apply to isha. Now, the iash meaning ha, if the Torah told me that in dine momenos, in Asher Tosim Lifneim in Parshas Mishpat, men and women are equal, that's because Mishum Chiyusahi. That's because Chai Adam Tluyim. Without the Isul Lo Tignovu, everybody could steal, it would be mass chaos. Vol Kofer, but in the case of Kofer, which is a separate Tashlumin for Vehemis Isha, I might have thought Ema